Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp and I'm the Chief Digital Officer of Dataversity. We would like to thank you for attending Dataversity Demo Day, Master Data Management. We're very excited to kick off this event and have a great lineup of sessions for you today and to give you an overview of tools and products available for your data management programs. Just a couple of points to get us started. Due to the large number of people that attend these sessions, you will be muted during the event. For questions, we will have a Q&A at the end of each presentation today, and we'll be collecting questions via the Q&A section. And if you'd like to chat with us or with each other, we certainly encourage you to do so. And just to note, the Zoom chat defaults to send to just the panelists, but you may absolutely change that to network with everyone. To open the chat or the Q&A panels, you can find those icons in the bottom middle of your screen for those features. And for this event, we will send a follow-up email within the next week to all registrants containing links to the recordings and slides from today's presentations. Now let's kick off our first session with Precisely, and let me introduce to you our first speakers for today, Frank Verdea and David Sultan. Frank has over 9 years of global digital commerce expertise in retail and manufacturing and over 6 years in various global PIM and master data management consulting and sales positions. Through his experiences in digital commerce at the small business, global brand, and technology vendor levels, he has supported business leadership by delivering tools and practices that empower digital marketing and e-commerce teams to exceed their targets. At Precisely, he is helping business leaders successfully implement MDM and drive digital marketing and e-commerce strategies in North America and Europe. David is a seasoned professional with 20 years of experience in sales engineering and product management, specializing in product information management, digital asset management, content management, and software as a service solutions. Throughout his career, David has worked for several leading software as a service companies, including OpenText, Primo, InRiver, and now at Precisely. Since joining Precisely, David now manages the strategic development of their master data management solution, EnterWorks. And with that, let me turn it over to Frank and David to get this event started. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I greatly appreciate it. My name is David, and I am a Senior Product Manager at Precisely. And we are super excited to be here today and hope you find this session to be valuable and informative. So let's get started. Just a little bit about Precisely. Precisely empowers organizations all over the world, including the 99 of the Fortune 100, to build trust in their data. With decades of deep domain expertise and unique combinations of software, data, and data strategy services, we work with clients across the journey to their data integrity. In order for data to be trustworthy, it needs to be accurate, it needs to be consistent, and of course, it needs to be contextual. Better data just means better decisions. And some statistics from IDC, according to IDC, 83% of CEOs want their data organization to be more data-driven. 30% of data experts strongly believe that their actions are driven by data. However, only 27% of data experts completely trust their data. So obviously there's a little bit of a gap there. So here at Precisely, we call this data integrity, and we build a complete suite around it. That's to ensure trust in their data. Frank, you can go to the next slide, please. So we believe that we can be more easily and effectively build data integrity when the core capabilities you need are working together rather than in a silo. And that's why Precisely brings a complete set of differentiated capabilities to support your data initiatives for now and in the future. So at the high levels are really the Precisely portfolio is and data strategy services supports every step along the way with your data journey. We help bring together data from your business that generates, including complex IBM mainframe, SAP, and many other sources of data. We help build catalogs, cleansing of the data, validating of the data, and make sure that you can trust the data overall. We ensure that we provide proper governance for your data and management of all your master data, enrichment processes for third-party systems, and of course, activate for optimal decision-making and customer communication. Next, please. So Precisely, before we now getting into the world of MDM, so now Precisely provides a way to trust in the data with our data integrity suite. So now we're going to focus a bit of the MDM, which is really what this session is all about. We call the MDM product for Precisely Enterworks. It's a multi-domain solution for MDM. It comes with an open and extendable integrated solution. It's an easy way to configure workflow automation between systems. We provide ways to incorporate true data governance, data quality, with a core part of which is really a core part of the MDM solution. We also allow for easy configuration with the no-code options. We have a low-code, no-code integration platform. We also have standard out-of-the-box connectivity with SAP. And we can handle large enterprise complex scenarios, and we are built for scalability. So Precisely Enterworks MDM is your single source of truth for all enterprise data and with the data that you can trust. Next, Frank. So let's talk a little bit about the key benefits and the features that come with the platform. So we'll start with the benefits first. So we help bring value right away. So it's a quicker time to market. We can give data that you can trust immediately. We provide agility, flexibility, and adaptability around many of the use cases. We build to last. And finally, we help reduce the cost of ownership over time. Some of the big features we provide, other than being a multi-domain, we really have great support for product and digital asset management. We are business friendly. We provide no-code, low-code options for integration. We support for data governance, stewardship, and quality. And our application is extendable. And we provide a data model that can be extended for even the most complex use cases. And we support, of course, structured, but also unstructured data and content. Next slide, please. So if you were to boil down to like three big major differentiation for Enterworks MDM, is we have what we call an advanced MDM, which really focuses not just all the different domains, but we have a really deep knowledge in product information and digital assets. We also have a standard out-of-the-box SAP automation, and we provide also ability to do address validation through our API integration with our address validation suite. Next slide, please. So this is the minute you'll be waiting for. It's a demo. So within the next minute or so, we transition to Frank to do his awesome demo. Just do a quick summary of what you're going to see. We're going to focus on multi-domain with a focus on product, digital assets, customer, and location. Next, please. And the way we're going to facilitate the demo is we're going to go through sort of like 6 steps process that may be consolidated in a way, but we're going to walk through how do you import content or products into the systems, how do you do the match and merge, how do you transform and enrich the data, enhance the data, and of course, finally approving it in syndication out to your various channels. So Frank, please take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. So as David mentioned, we have you covered on all the various steps of operational and analytical MDM practices. Within our Enterworks MDM platform, we also carve out different user experiences for different roles. So whether you are an administrator who's trying to manage the data model and the security of your platform, whether you are an approver, a business owner who's looking at process management, communication, and analytics, or the data stewards who are coming in and managing by exception, we have tailored user experiences for all roles in both IT and business. So we're going to talk today about Enterworks MDM. We're going to briefly touch on onboarding data. We're going to focus on enriching records and linking domains in a multi-domain play. And then we'll end by talking about data syndication. So when we're onboarding data, Enterworks platform comes with an enterprise level ETL capability and set of tools that allow for you to connect out of the box to over 100 different types of sources of data. And those sources of data can be systems, databases, cloud services, file exchange, and even data sets coming from third-party reference data providers. We're doing all of this via file exchange or API services. And so basically anything with any system that has the capability to produce a file of data or has open APIs, we can connect to those systems and bring data into the centralized location within Enterworks MDM. So if we come into the system itself, we are greeted with a dashboard, and these dashboards are fully configurable, and they're also differentiated by role. So if I was a customer data steward and focusing on customer data, I may have different roles that I have to play. I may be looking at the data through certain lenses and different statuses. And I may also want to be considering the data quality as it comes in and as it's supposed to be going out through various aspects of what we call channel readiness. I also have the ability to have an inbox for my workflow, so I can see all the tasks that are in my purview and being assigned to me or the role that I belong to. With these reports, we're able to configure these reports out of the box using simple configuration for business users to come in and design their different elements on their dashboard, and even allow for people to tap into BI tools that exist in the enterprise within a business and inject those BI tools. So when we're outside of MDM marrying master data with transactional data, we can bring insights back into the MDM so we can see the importance of the work that we have at hand. If I were to take a look at this status report here, this is an actionable report. So we're showing in blue records that are passing on all of our business rules, and in red records that are failing on our business rules. And if I want to take a look at those records that are failing, I can go ahead and double click on the slice of the pie and get a representation of all of those records through various views on the next screen here in the repository or table view of the data itself. This table view works like a live spreadsheet. So I have the ability to go ahead and make various changes from within the spreadsheet itself and the grid view. And I can take action quickly without having to open the record all the way through. We also have a quick editing mode in here where I can navigate through the data model and I can see where the problems exist in the data. And so in this case, we're missing a value for type. And I can go ahead and take a look at my approved values, and I can make a decision there, and I can make a save. And what you'll see is as I'm saving, that record has been removed from the listing here. And that's because it's no longer failing on any business rules. And if I were to come back to my dashboard, I can see that when I refresh, where I had 73 records failing on business rules, I now have 72. Coming back to this repository view of the data, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the filter for the severe errors here. And we have the ability to manage multiple hierarchies and ways that we classify our records. So when we take a look at customer data, we may think through our customer data from regions all the way down to city level. We may also consider our customers based on how much money they're spending with us. So tiered classification systems that can have an endless number of nodes and levels that are nested underneath there. So the opportunity to create any hierarchy that you would like, and having multiple hierarchies so you can see the different ways that the business classifies, different teams of the business classify customer records in different ways, all within one system. We have advanced searching and filtering capabilities that allow for you to further whittle down your lists of records that you are analyzing or operating on, and allow for you to get to work faster. Now, when we open a record here, we're looking at the full data model of the record itself. So this customer record here is a corporate customer that has many different locations. Through the ability to manage an unlimited number of attributes per table and an unlimited number of tables that we can reference and join together, we can gather various pieces of information about this customer. So this mastered customer here can have a primary address And when the country is Canada, we can tap into a reference table and get information about the regional contact for that specific region that this customer exists in. We can also see various addresses that this customer operates out of. So having links to many different locations, all from one mastered view, allows for us to quickly get to task on our different records. And when we open up a location, we can do different things. As David mentioned, we can tap into the power of Precisely's data integrity suite and our location intelligence data APIs, and we can do things like check against this address and see if it's correct or if there's a corrected suggestion in there. So with a click of a button, you'll see that we have 2155 Share Road for the address line, and the city is missing over on the left. When we click through and call out to Precisely's APIs for address verification, we can see that we get a suggested address of 2155 Cherry Road, and the city is Rock Hill. Now, when we click update, we're not only correcting this address, populating the missing field, but we're also able to tap into what we call the Precisely ID. That Precisely ID is the master unique key for this deliverable address. And we store hundreds of attributes and fields of data on this Precisely ID in this location. So we can do things like pull in the longitude and the latitude. We could pull in demographic information, point of interest information as well, all from within the MDM. And anything that I'm doing in a singular manual fashion, we can automate and do in bulk as well. So as data is coming into the system, we can be running bulk verification and correction and bulk collection of this extra attribution that's coming into the MDM system. So ways to not only fix data, but also further enrich data. We assume that you're going to be linking across many different tables of data, and being able to do this is a simple task done by an admin user, where we are simply joining different tables together on various keys of data and then representing it all within one mastered rollup. So we can see not only does this customer have multiple locations, it has multiple contacts. And if we were to dive in, we could have an entire data model around the contact itself and see all of the different information that applies to the contact. When we are bringing data in through a mastered record, we assume that you need to match and merge against multiple systems. So in here, what we focus on is the output for the business users. So when I am completing my match and merge processes, which are automated and algorithmic, I want to be able to see from a master record where this customer exists in all of my source systems. So in this example, we can see that there are 2 accounts found in Salesforce and SAP, and these are the customer IDs specific to those source systems. They could have various names, and through exact and fuzzy logic, we're able to roll up and join these records together from the sources into a mastered rollup. We support the ability for you to have any type of information that you want to store on a specific record. So whether it be various employees, it could be specific benefits to an employee for an insurance play, or even taking a look at digital assets that apply to a specific customer record. So when we're talking about product data, we're always talking about product images, product videos, spec sheets, material, SDS or SD sheets. In a customer play, we even have the opportunity to store things such as the customer logo, but also various certificates of insurance and service level agreements. And we can have different settings on these assets. So not only can they be prioritized in, say, a product play for my various levels of product images, but when we come to document collection on a customer record, we may have an expiry date. So this certificate of insurance is good until this specific date. And as we can see that these have been expired, we could have on the dashboard reports that tell us when documents are soon to be expired or have expired, which allow for us to then communicate back to the customer and obtain new documentation and save a new version. Now, this record itself, this document, has its own metadata model around it. So you can store an unlimited number of attributes and specifications on the document itself as well. So a full enterprise digital asset management system tied into the MDM as well. Finally, when we're talking about product data, we know that we have many different examples of ways that we need to manage product data. So being able to tie in a taxonomy where, based on a specific category, in this case, snowboard boots, we also have various category attributes that apply to this category itself. So being able to configure attributes down to the category level is very important to us. We also have the ability to create variant generating attributes. So when this snowboard boot is sold in various colors and sizes, as we add new colors or add new sizes, we can automate the generation of the sellable SKUs or individual items, those unique items. And they can have their own data model as well down on from the parent level, which is globally shared across all sellable SKUs, and have their own data model on the sellable SKU level itself. So where data is unique on a specific item, we can store it on the item with reference to the global parent data. We also support, when talking about product data, the ability to support all of your typical marketing information, having data that can be managed through an HTML editor, being able to see both the rich content as well as the source code and storing both of those in the database. So depending on where you're syndicating product data, you may need to syndicate the full HTML markup, or you may need to syndicate the rich content itself. When we're talking about product content and data, we typically think about this from a merchandising play as well, and being able to manage the relationship between various products in our catalog to one another. And so in this case, when this snowboard boot liner is associated to this snowboard boot, its relationship type is an accessory, and it's available in the US market. As we think through multiple hierarchies and category structures for managing product data, we may need to change the content based on where we are syndicating to. So when this snowboard boot is sold to rei.com under the category of boots under snowboarding, we're going to change the short description to append a 10% off all Burton snowboard boots message at the top of our master description. Now, when we come back to this customer, we can relate customers to products. So we can see all of the records from the product catalog that are in play for this specific customer. And we can say, when this customer is buying this product, their price is this amount, and is it active or not? So being able to always link across different domains and being able to identify opportunities to manage data on the relationship is very important to us. Now, as we had clicked through and took advantage of the management by exception in the reporting, and we made corrections to our fields here on this record, we may need to push this into a workflow. And we can start a workflow, and behind the scenes, what we're doing through our workflow engine is we are sending an email notification to the different people involved in a role that is assigned to this task. We're adding that record to the workflow inbox on the dashboard. So when people log in, they can see that something is in their queue to be worked on. And workflow is a series of manual and automated tasks. So a manual task is represented in the form of a form. And this form is fully configurable per the business needs to communicate and manage the approval process. So in this case, we have an approval dropdown. If the data steward team is now in here and wanting to approve the content, they can then pass it on downstream. We're updating the status of a record. We're locking this record so that it can't be edited at any given point. And now it's been passed on to the finance team for review. And the finance team would follow suit in the same way. And if they approve, so on and so forth, the record continues to move through the workflow to the various steps. In this example, we have 4 steps. And at the end of the steps, we can do automated tasks based on the full approval of the record. Now, what does that look like? It usually leads to a syndication of data. And so in real time, when a record has been fully approved, we can kick off the syndication process and we can syndicate that data to various targets. It doesn't have to be all of our targets. It could be upstream source systems for corrections. It could be downstream targets for BI tools. In the case of product data, it could be e-commerce platforms, various website plays, marketplaces, and the workflow is integrated within the syndication process. Outside of the workflow, we can also run syndication on a schedule. And if there's any need at any moment, a user can come in and on demand kick off a syndication process if they have the right permissions. And now everything is, from a security standpoint, managed all the way down to the attribute and the record level. So those people will be able to, with the right permissions, syndicate data if needed to on demand. Again, as I mentioned in the dashboard conversation, we have an element on the dashboard that we call channel readiness that allows for us to monitor the quality of the data as it's viewed through the lens of the target system or the upstream source system. So when something is needed to go to, say, an instance of SAP ECC, there may be specific global business rules that are in play for this specific target. That allows for us to carve out different pipelines on the back end to, say, syndicate this data when it's ready enough for ECC, while it may not be ready enough for, say, Salesforce or our QuickBooks play. Coming back to the record itself, anything that we're doing in here is being tracked through an audited history. So we're able to view the history of a record at any given time. We can compare against different versions, and we could even perform a rollback if required to a specific version. But one thing that's very special to the Enterworks MDM platform is having this history and rollback capability done on the attribute level. So it may not be that every time that I want to correct with a rollback that I want to take a full version rollback. I may just want to explore the history of one attribute and make a change just on that specific attribute itself. So being able to do not only version and date and history rollbacks, but also attribute level rollbacks is critical to us. So we've, in a very brief overview here, talked through the 3 major screens that the business users come into play with for analytical and operational MDM. We are also focused on, as I mentioned, the ETL capabilities for onboarding the data, for matching and merging, and configuring, not coding, those different processes through connectors. We've linked domains to show the power of a multi-domain MDM, to say that someone can come in and take a look at one master record and see all of the different points of data and different records from different tables that apply to that specific mastered record. So being able to go to one location to get all of the information that you need or to take action on all of the various data points that apply to a master record. And we also talked briefly on the syndication process, being able to get to market faster through various ways, whether it be scheduled, bulk, syndication, specific item through workflow in real time or on-demand processes. Back to you, David.
Great, thank you, Frank, so much for a wonderful demo. That was awesome. So as you can see, MDM is not as simple as it seems. It requires a lot of processes, people, system to work together to deliver accurate, consistent, and contextual data. Trust is a key component of having a good MDM. So in a summary form, Precisely Enterworks MDM solution, kind of as a whole, what you can see here on the screen is really trying to show you the breadth of all the things we can do. So on the left side of the slide, you'll see all of the sources, what we call inbound, that we can handle. So for example, an ERP, a PLM, a CRM, basically any other databases of feeds that are coming through. On the right side of it, you'll see where we can syndicate. So these are all the endpoints that we can support. So it can be as simple as delivering a CSV, an Excel file, or just pushing content to an e-commerce site, marketplaces, or basically any other databases or apps. Now, in the middle is which is really what Frank just showed you, is what Enterworks in action. You can ingest, you can validate, you can consolidate, you can enrich, approve, syndicate. And that's really what the core engine does. Now, what you can see on the top is all of what we call the multi-domain that we can support. This could be things like a product, a customer, an item, location, and any other support that we can support, including even digital assets. And at the bottom are really all the function that that we provide from an MDM perspective, which is around data governance, data cataloging, match and merge, data quality, and of course, lineage as well for tracking. So master data management, it's really all about taking data and processes that were once siloed, bringing them back together into a trusted central system. And we can start by collecting, cleansing data, creating a master record, and then basically establishing a standardized process for each of those records in the MDM solutions. And then records are being separated into their own little topic or functions, and we call them domain. And then each of those domains has its own data model or governance process. And that's sort of how we simplify the process. We're putting it all together, allow people to do their work, and then we can just publish the data where it needs to go. So hopefully what you've seen, that with our platform, you can give your users the confidence that with the data that can be trusted. And I want to take the opportunity to really thank you for listening, and hopefully this was valuable to you. Shannon, back to you, I guess, for Q&A.
Thank you both for this great presentation and demonstration, for kicking us off. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A panel. And diving in here, so how does Precisely Enterworks MDM require any integration component agent for data ingestion from data sources, or to push data downstream, for example, to the messaging queue?
So I can take that one, and then Frank, if you want to add anything else, you can. So with our platform, we use RabbitMQ as the messaging platform for that. There may be other ways. I don't know, Frank, if you have any other suggestion, but that's typically what come out of the box with our system.
Yeah, and we can manage anything through like an iPaaS and go bus to bus as well, for using any type of middleware to or communication layer to communicate the data and integrate with other systems.
Perfect. And what are the prerequisites for implementing in terms of data governance maturity?
Frank, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. So I gave a talk on MDM and data governance earlier this spring, and really the key thing from a prerequisite standpoint is to pick one or the other to start with. So if you are already on track for building out your data governance model, focus on that, get that optimized, and then come into MDM so that you have all of the strategy and planning already taken care of for the operations that come into play within MDM for setting up your MDM data model and processes. If you're focused on MDM already, then stay focused on that and glean insights from your processes as you've been developing MDM, and then take that away to then focus on data governance and using data governance tooling after the fact. But at the end of the day, both of those things should talk together. And with Precisely, our data governance tooling and metadata management is integrated with Enterworks MDM. So if you were to introduce a workflow from a governance standpoint to introduce a new attribute into the data model, once fully approved and followed through that workflow, it would then syndicate that information to the Enterworks MDM and add that approved attribute.
Perfect, thank you. So as outlined on one of the intro slides, Precisely has the whole suite of data management products. Are they pre-integrated with MDM? For example, can I easily define a new data quality rule and link it with MDM model? Can I see MDM physical model as technical assets in the data catalog, et cetera?
I can take that, and then Frank, of course, you can add your comment as well. So when it comes to MDM, currently the entire MDM is still within Enterworks as an application. We are slowly bringing some functionality into what we call the data integrity suite for the rest of our products. That's kind of part of our roadmap. As of now, address validation is the first thing we've done. We're looking also into workflow. But as far as the full MDM capability, we're still kind of trying to figure out where things should lay. So the short answer is we don't currently do what you just asked in that questions, but we are moving toward that direction. And Frank, feel free to add your comments.
Yeah, and we prioritize the address verification and correction process for both manual and bulk processing first to focus on our API connectivity back into the data integrity suites. And then we have this spring then integrated our data governance module with Enterworks, and then we're focusing on data quality next.
Awesome. I love it. So can you provide examples of successful implementations in the public sector?
Frank, I'm going to let you take it if you have some examples that you can share. And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, in the public sector, I don't personally work with public sector customers, so I don't have any top of mind. I know that we're working on our FedRAMP certification, which allows for us to get into government projects and things like that. And beyond that, I don't have any insights.
It's okay. So Shannon, we can take that offline, and if we can provide some examples, we can share with you.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah, and I can get that in the follow-up, and we'll get the question to you as well. So absolutely. So regarding the approval workflows, are we able to see the bottlenecks in the process? For example, that a specific person or team holds the record in the review status too long?
I think, Frank, that'd be good for you.
Yes, so we can time box things through the dashboard reporting capability, and anything that's a dashboard report can also be exported, like say as an XLS sent via email. So what it really boils down to is a data modeling exercise where you identify what data are you collecting within the workflow, and then where do you tie it to a record. So you can have, if you think about, this is the beauty of having endless attribution in a data model, is that not only can you manage the data that's coming in from other systems, but you can also create new attributes in the MDM that can help drive things like process management. So being able to collect who is assigned, what is the date that it was assigned, what is the due date if it's specified in a form, and then putting those data points together to drive a report or an export of information is very powerful. And one thing that we can do beyond that is within our workflow engine, we also support notifications and escalation routes. So if something is sitting in a queue for too long, we can send an email notification to that user or that role of users and notify them that something's still waiting in their queue. If it goes beyond a certain time frame, we could even escalate this so it could be rerouted to, say, that person or that team's management layer.
Thank you. And we've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to slip in as many questions as I can here. So how is the integration between data governance, data quality, data catalog, and data architect artifacts within Enterworks?
I think it kind of goes back to the previous questions. So anything that has to do with the overall Precisely products, currently within the MDM, it's sort of done within Enterworks, but we are in the process from a roadmap perspective, started to bring some of those products capabilities into Enterworks, or more Enterworks back into the suite. So it's sort of still in a road mapping. And Frank, you can add some more comment if you have, because I know you've done some POCs.
Yeah, an example would be with our integration with the data governance module in the data integrity suite. You're able to harvest the metadata out of Enterworks MDM and any other system that you'd like to harvest data, and visualize it through an impact diagram. So you can see where an attribute lives, not only in the Enterworks data model and what it's tied to across tables, but then also across source systems or targeted systems as well.
I love all the integration questions. So is it possible to have a dashboard that displays the quality data generated by a particular organization in a real time?
Frank, you can take that one. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Sure, let me just hop back over here. So this dashboard is totally dynamic and configurable, and it's also focused on real time. So every time you come and navigate to the dashboard, it's reloading all of the reports. So if any changes have been made to the data against the data quality rules, it would be reflected in the various reports. So you can see not only what's good versus bad, you can see filtered reports. So in this example, customers by state. From product data management, you can see it based on the status of that it's in a life cycle. All of these reports are refreshed every time you come to the dashboard. And then any of these reports could be tied to an syndication or export process that could be scheduled and delivered to you via email, with information about, say, like, here's the list of bad products, or here's the list of customers by, in the state of Wisconsin at this time, with certain data points that you configure in a template so that you can gain insights on that.
Very cool. And while you're there too, I mean, how do you manage user rights?
So we scale security horizontally and vertically. So first of all, a user belongs to one or many user groups, and then each user group has security settings. So every button that you see on the screen, every record you see in a table, and every attribute you see on a record can be set for security permissions. So you can do things like, a common one is, a lot of times when we're dependent on source systems for our data, we remove this delete button for all users. And that's done through just a quick security configuration through the admin interface. Another example is when we're looking at the attribution, we take attributes and we roll them up into tabs and groups, and then we set security on the different tabs and groups. So some people can come in and see all of the data model. Others come in with just the data that's focused on their specific role. And you can set read-write capabilities on any record grouping, any category of records, or any attribute across the records themselves.
Perfect. Well, Frank and David, thank you so much for kicking us off and with such a great demonstration. And thanks to Precisely for this, for sponsoring today and coming in today. But I'm afraid that is all the time we have slotted for this session. And thanks to all of our attendees who have joined us so far. We now are going to have a 15-minute break.
Thanks,
David
everyone.
and Frank, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.